After we first met, I used to stand by the edge of the lake in the moonlight, gazing across the water at the landing light in front of your house, hoping I'd catch a glimpse of you.
I sensed your longing, but what could I do? I was married to someone else.
I know, but you were all I'd ever wanted. The very reason I'd worked so hard to gain the wealth and prestige that would allow me to mingle with your kind and incur the romantic interest of someone like you. But I guess, like Heathcliff and Wuthering Heights, I was doomed to remain on the periphery of your life. I was never really accepted, was I?
It was so sad. You wanted so desperately to be accepted by the East Egg group. I really felt for you.
Yes, even though East Egg and West Egg were joined, they might as well have been a million miles apart, considering the deep division that existed between the inhabitants of East and West.
Still, you were more successful than most in straddling the divide, just like you did in France with the tan group and the pale group.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Don't you remember those times on the beach in France with the tan group and the pale group? Oh, the pale group all wanted to be part of the tan group, but the tan group didn't like the new breed of Americans that were emerging then.
And what group was I?
Oh, the tan group, of course. Oh, but you made friends with the pale group as well. Everyone loved you. I was irresistibly drawn to you.
And then what happened?
We became lovers, of course. Until you started to crack under the strain.
Strain? Strain of what?
Don't you remember?
No, I don't remember any of this.
Excuse me, I just have to interrupt. I'm getting a little confused here.
Who are you?
More to the point, who are you?
Jay Gatsby. Dick Dyer.
No.
Anthony Patch.
Those are just characters in fiction. You are F. Scott Fitzgerald, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Seems you've been enacting scenes from your novels. I detected The Great Gatsby, Tender as the Night, and maybe a touch of The Beautiful and the Damned.
I do get confused between the reality and the fiction. Sometimes the fictional life seems more real and vivid to me than the actual events of my own life.
Well, you can't blame us for getting confused when Scott's writing drew so heavily on our lives, particularly mine.
It wasn't just you, darling. It was the whole scene we were part of, particularly Paris, living among the beautiful damned.
A slow dance of death among the rich and famous. We spent our early years tying among the beautiful and dead.
Life was spontaneous, little to think about.
Nothing but fun and nothing ever left. But oh, how exciting those times must have been.
What is it that you want?
Oh, you are F. Scott Fitzgerald, aren't you?
Yeah, yes, I am. I think on good days. And who are you?
Oh, just an admirer. I've always been a huge fan of yours, Mr. Fitzgerald.
What is it in my writing that appeals to you?
Oh, nobody writes as beautifully as you do, Mr. Fitzgerald. You conjure up a world of beautiful wonder with a curious kind of worldly innocence.
Worldly innocence? Isn't that a contradiction in terms?
I guess it is, but I think all great writing has that kind of paradox.
Which of my novels best exemplifies these qualities as far as you're concerned?
Well, I know most people would say The Great Gatsby is your greatest work, or maybe Tender as the Night. But some of your short stories for the Saturday Evening Post struck a deep chord in me, particularly your Basil stories.
Very Norman Rockwell.
Oh yes, it's a time I'm deeply nostalgic about, even though I never lived in that era. Oh, I have the entire collection of Saturday Evening Post issues with your short stories, along with all of your novels, of course.
So people still remember me.
Oh yes, they sure do. You are highly revered as one of the great figures of American literature.
Really? And what about Hemingway? Is he still enjoying some high esteem and praise?
Oh yes, but not as much as he used to, thank God.
Sounds like you don't like him very
Oh,
much.
I always thought he was highly overrated, and I think the way he wrote about you in his memoirs was disgraceful.
Well, I hate to tell you this. There was a lot of truth in what he had to say about me.
Well, even if that's true, I think what he said was peevish and spiteful. He could have shown a little gratitude towards someone who was such a strong supporter at the start of his career.
Well, I guess he was just telling the truth as he saw it. I can't blame him for that.
Why are you so quick to come to his defense?
Yes, Scott, why are you so quick to defend that brutish lump of a man? You know, sometimes I suspected you were in love with him. Whenever he was around, you were like a puppy gazing adoringly at his master.
I admired the way he carried himself, and I admired his writing. I thought that he might be the close friend that I never had.
But don't you realize he was a total phony? As our friend there just said, his whole life was a lie.
I never saw it that way.
You're all sorry. What she says is true. All of my life I tried hard to live up to what I thought defined me as being a man. I tried so hard to disguise any weakness, attempting to convince the world what a truly tough guy I am. I tried to live up to the expectations that I myself did so much to defy. I set myself goals that were never really in my nature, and it drove me out of my mind. I was determined to set a new standard for manly behavior, and that is a fact. I wrote a blueprint, my own manifesto, for what every man should think and exactly how he should act. So many took it all too hard, and I found that I became trapped in a lie. I was a slave to the crazy monster I created, and I never understood why. There was no one I respected enough to look up to for guidance, to show me the way. All those I knew seemed so weak and uncertain, and all of their idols were made out of clay.
I admire Ernest. But I never really loved anyone but you.
Really? And what about Lois Moran and Sheila Graham?
Lois Moran was a fleeting infatuation. I was consumed with her beauty. There was no love there. I'm sure no man could have resisted the most beautiful woman in Hollywood, particularly with the way she practically threw herself at me.
Another one of those literary butterflies, always fluttering around the most acclaimed authors in the day. I would have hated them all if they weren't so pathetic. But I despise that Lois Moran. She was the start of it all.
The start of what?
Our downfall. Neither of us was the same after you got involved with her.
I'm sorry you were hurt by her.
I wasn't hurt by her, you damn fool. I was hurt by you for betraying me with her. And for what? She left you in the end, didn't she? After that, I lost all touch with you and our life together. It was like I was looking at you and our life through a glass wall. I just felt so distant from everything.
All right. I was weak. I know it, and I admit it. But I think the rift in our relationship began long before Lois Moran.
Oh?
There was a loss of faith on your part before we even married.
What loss of faith?
And you have forgotten it was you who broke my heart when you rejected me. If things had not changed, then I had not become an overnight celebrity. You would not have married me if you'd only shown more faith in me. If only you believed in destiny. You truly loved me and saved me a lot of misery. But you rejected me. more than any woman I'd ever met before or since.
Like I said, I think you just wanted me for source material. You plagiarized my diaries and my entire life for your writing. You goaded me into outrageous behavior just so you could have something to write about.
All right. I'll admit you were the main inspiration for all of my novels. But there was a wildness about you that had nothing to do with my influence. I was aware of it right away. Do you remember the night we met?
Yes, I do. Do you?
You had so many boys vying for your attention. I figured the only way to get you interested was to ignore you, or at least pretend to ignore you.
You didn't do a great job of it. I knew you were just dying to talk to me.
No doubt you expected all the boys to be interested in talking to you.
Well, yes, I did expect it, and I was never let down in that expectation.
Well, even if you did seek my boy, it obviously worked, didn't it?
Yes, I suppose it did. I was forced to come over and introduce myself. Do you remember what you said to me?
Every word. So, you're Zelda Zare. I've heard quite a lot about you.
Oh, I'm sure it's all true. But tell me what you heard.
I heard you have a great talent for being outrageous.
Oh, so I hear.
Rumor has it you were almost expelled from school because of your outrageous behavior.
Well, I'm not confirming or denying anything. I leave those opinions to the little people.
From what I hear, you were the fame of the town.
Was not there, but I am sure that it's true.
You can't believe everything that you hear.
That is just how I remember you.
I'm sure it's true.
Made each boy you met fall at your feet.
It sounds like
sounds like the song of a dilettante.
Why do you say that?
Because it makes love sound so ephemeral and impermanent.
Well, isn't it?
God, I hope not. I always hope to find eternal life as a pathway to my salvation.
Well, I may share that hope, but I'm reluctant to admit it. Now, you gonna come and kiss me or not?
And fall into your trap and begin to bore you? Certainly not.
So you're afraid of me?
I was afraid of any girl before I kissed her.
Fine.
You know, the weeks after our first meeting, they were the most exhilarating of my life.
They were for me too.
Until you decided I wasn't rich enough for you.
You know that wasn't the case.
Do I?
Of course you do. Don't you remember that scene you wrote about in This Side of Paradise, where Rosalind, that is me, tells Anne-Marie that she cannot marry him? Where it was practically one for one when I said to you at the time.
But as soon as I became famous and started raking in the cash, you immediately agreed to marry me.
I made a mistake in changing my mind.
What?
My decision, there is no doubt.
I was devastated when you first said no.
I was mistaken when I thought it might all work out.
That's when I started drinking. I'm sure that you must know.
We sense that we destroy each other, but in the face of your persistence, I could not say no.
I could not live without you.
And I believe it so.
In my light and inspiration, all I've done.
Glad to hear you say that. It's nice to know for sure.
Our lives were bound together and we become as
I
one.
loved your warm attention. I wanted more and more. Then I became addicted to you. I found I could not bear the thought of leaving you. You were the one I'd always search for.
You had the most compelling allure.
I yearned to see you more and more.
And when I kissed you, I knew for sure. You've been my light and inspiration in all I've done.
Glad to hear you say that. It's nice to know for sure.
Our lives were bound together and we become as one.
Warm attention. I wanted more and more. Then I became addicted to you. I found I could not bear the thought of when our souls merged together, I lost all sense of self.
I went off to someplace I could not follow you.
I feared that I might lose you and wind up on the
Where
shelf.
did it all go wrong? I wish I knew.
I was adrift without a compass. I could not bear to face the fact, but now I know it's true.
Oh, Zelda, you were just simply a victim of your own nature. You were this life force that blazed so fiercely. It was inevitable that you would burn out and implode.
And you don't think it had anything to do with me?
You were always doomed to self-destruction. I read how notorious you were in Alabama. If your father had not been a highly respected judge, your reputation as an exhibitionist and a vamp would have destroyed you.
What do you know? Who asked you anyway? Another one of those starstruck admirers. There was so many in the beginning. Who are you anyway?
They all drifted away as my star began to fade. Si drowsy Gloria.
But no one can deny we had some wonderful times in the early days. Do you remember that first summer?
It was ideal, wasn't it? Nights floating by like a dream,
Drifting along with the breeze.
late summer days on the river together,
Doing whatever we please. Oh, how I wish I'd been there. You make it sound so ideal.
Nothing is quite as idyllic as that.
yes, those were halcyon days.
Falling in love made it so.
Everything's different when you are in love.
That was a long time ago. Love in the first blush of you is never recaptured again.
Those magic days were the best of my life.
But then it all turned to pain.
We have to try to hold on to those golden days when we had such a wonderful time. We'll always have all those memories when we were in our prime. Why did those times have to end?
Why did it all fall apart?
Passion is something that can last forever. Such are affairs of the heart.
Why must you take such a sinful view?
I only say what is true. When passion comes to its natural end, there's nothing much you can
Excuse me? Mr. Fitzgerald, it's time for me to depart, but I will see you again soon.
Goodbye.
You know, things fell apart, Zelda, because you were totally self-centered. You just loved to create drama. Everything you did was to draw attention to yourself. Like when you would strip off at parties and jump into the pool fully clothed. Ride around New York on the rooftops of taxis. You were a glutton for attention. That's why you always interrupted Scott when he was trying to write. You couldn't stand the thought of him devoting more time to his work than to you. Or maybe it was just madness.
Yes, sometimes there were moments of such sublime madness that it made all else seem mundane and petty and as joyless as your prose.
Oh, Zelda. My Zelda.
Oh, Scott, I'd give anything to relive those days.
I've often thought of those days.
I know. You wrote all about them in your novels. Oh, we did have fun, didn't we?
Living a lifestyle that we'd never known before was so exciting, a heady delight.
Eating and mixing with all the celebrities.
Going to parties that lasted all night.
Wild times in Paris, flaunting all the glitz. Dining al fresco and putting on the Ritz.
Putting on the
Single wines at estates in Bordeaux, wild times in Paris, floating on the glitz, dining al fresco,
And putting on the Ritz.
putting on the Ritz, putting on the Ritz.
Such a grand time we had in France, times to recall when feeling blue.
The memories that I treasure most are all of the times I spent with you.
Yes, that certainly was a grand time. It was a wonderful dream come true.
Even the one could say that sometimes we bit off more than we could chew.
I don't regret a single moment.
I truly feel the same way too. I treasure every memory of those days in France I spent with you.
Those times were totally frivolous and exhibitionistic, just more showing off.
Well, you seem perfectly happy to tag along with our frivolous lifestyle. Or was that just to get Scott to help you get published?
I admired Scott's talent, but his childishness and the way he allowed you to goad him on, that was just sickening.
Not nearly as sickening as your pathetic attempts to prove to everyone what a man you were. No matter what you might like to think, you were just an outsider in our lives, a jealous hack, pressing his nose in envy against the window of Scott's great talent, always interfering in matters that didn't concern you. Why don't you just leave us alone to sort things out ourselves?
Because you couldn't sort out anything! Look at the mess you made of your lives!
Oh, and what about you? 4 marriages and all of them failures, and you still end up shooting yourself in the head. Not exactly the testament to a fulfilled life, now is it? At least Scott and I maintained our marriage. He never abandoned me.
Zelda, you don't really believe that fantasy, do you? He locked you up in a loony bin and didn't even bother to visit you for the last 2 years of his life. Not exactly the picture of cozy domestic bliss now, is it, Zelda?
But he continued to pay the bills, and he made sure that our daughter Scotty and I were cared for. It wasn't easy on him.
No! No, it wasn't easy! You have no idea what you're talking about! And you have no idea what we went through! It was a long way from California to North Carolina! And I couldn't afford to travel across the country to see her! I could barely afford to care for her! Do you understand now? Do you? Zelda, you always remain my first love. No matter how much it tortured me to see you like this, I never stopped loving you.
And you were always my first love, Scott. My only love. It's true, I was jealous of your talent, but not just because I wanted the limelight. I wanted all the attention to myself. It was just because it took you away from me. I was jealous and resentful of anything that took you away from me. I admit it. And when I saw I was losing you to the acclaim and to drink, I couldn't handle it.
Oh, Zelda, I'm so sorry. I really am. There are kinds of love where emotions are intense and the light of passion burns too bright.
it's hard to take the blame when things don't quite pan